Okay, so here is a tutorial on how to wire wrap crystals out. Here I have a crystal. It's just a clear quartz crystal. And also we have a pair of wire cutters and a pair of round-nosed pliers. You may need a pair of flat-nosed pliers. And the wire we have, I buy this wire from Amazon. And this one is a 22 gauge, which is the thinnest of the three. This one is an 18 gauge. Which is the thickest of the three. And then in between we have a 20 gauge. And I think today we will probably use, just going to check it, probably use the 20 gauge. The 20 gauge is quite easy to work with. The thinner the wire, the easier it is. So the wire I buy is coated copper wire in a silver plated coating, and that is also coated with some kind of coating so that it's tarnish free. So it will stay like this. It won't tarnish. It's a really nice wire to work with. And when you're working with wire for the first time, persevere, because at first it does feel quite stiff. And after you've practiced with a few rocks or crystals or whatever it is you're wire wrapping, you can wire wrap anything. You can practice with rocks from the garden or pebbles from the beach. Just persevere with it, because over time the wire will become easier for you. It seems quite difficult to begin with, but the more you practice, the easier it becomes. So we will start with the crystal because it's just a little bit easier, because if you've got ridges in a pebble or a rock, it's just easier for the wire to grip hold onto it. Something that's soft and smooth like this will be a little bit more difficult because your wire will slip around. You'll have to hold it in place. A flat stone, smooth stone would be easier to wrap than a round one. So it's probably easier to practice with one of those. But I would, if it's your first time wire wrapping, I would find something that has ridges in it or it's uneven edges, just so that the wire has something to grip onto and you're not doing most of the work, because the wire will stay in place. Okay, so this is quite a big crystal, so we'll need quite a long length of wire. I would say about 1.5 meters. A meter to 1.5 meters. And cut the wire. And then you need to find the center of the wire. So put your two ends together. And then find your center. And with your round nose pliers, because it's a big crystal, I'll use the biggest end of the round nose pliers, and I'll just wrap the wire around And do that a couple of times. So I normally like to do that 3 times. So you've got 3 hoops at the top, and then just wrap it around a couple of times to hold it in place. And then we have a hoop at the top, and that will be where your jump rings go to hang your pendant on your necklace. So then you find your crystal and work out which side you would like to be the front. So I think that would be the front. So you place your crystal on top of your wire and make sure the hoop is at the top of the crystal, and your wires are flat across the back. And then you can bring the crystal up on an angle at the front of the crystal, and again so that it crosses over. You need to hold your wire in place at this stage, and then we can circle it around. So cross the wire over the top and start to cross it over and around, and then you can start to make your pattern. The wire will slip and slide around, but you hold it in place. It's quite tricky when you're beginning, and it does take a lot of practice. And so we can start to make a spiral by bringing the wires around. And then you can make yourself a little pattern. And to hold it in place, bring the wire around the back, across the top of the wires at the back. Around, it's very tricky. So you bring it round the back, across the wires at the back, and to lock it in place, you can then wrap the wire around the top of the hoop, and that will lock it all in place. And that's just a simple design on the crystal. Okay, so you can wrap it around the loop at the top and scarf that hoop at the top. So then you can tuck your ends in, and then with your wire cutters, cut off the ends. They fly everywhere, so just go careful. Make sure you've got no pets or children in the room, or hold on to them as you cut them. And then we push those ends into the hoop. It's quite tricky to begin with. Very tricky. Push them in nice and tight. And then you can use the end of the plier to squish it in. And then your ends are tucked in out the way. And to tighten the whole crystal up, you can get your flat nose pliers, and you can just see this is floppy at the end here. You can pull it in tight and then pull this one in tight. And then you can pull all your wires quite tightly and that will hold everything in place. You can do the same at the front if you like. Sometimes I just do it at the back if it looks all right at the front, but you may want a little bit more of a design at the front, so you can just do a little bit there. And I think that looks fine as it is. And there we have, this one's quite a large crystal, which is quite nice for somebody that would like a large crystal. People tend to buy the smaller crystals, but these, the bigger the stone or crystal or gemstone, the easier it is to practice with. So that's the crystal. And then in the top we can I pop 3 jump rings in at the top and then hook it onto a necklace thong. And there you have a necklace. So that's your crystal.